Hello and welcome to Module 2 of the Proclamation 2021 State Review Panel Training, Instructional Materials in Texas. This is Amy Williams, Director of Review and Adoption in the Instructional Materials and Implementation Division. During this module, you will learn about the State Board of Education's review and adoption process, the Texas Resource Review, and the response we've received to Proclamation 2021 and the TRR. This training will take approximately 15 minutes. It is packed full of information, so I do suggest that you take notes while watching. Let's start with the SBOE's review and adoption process. Districts may select any instructional material that they believe best meets the needs of their unique student population, regardless of that material's status on the SBOE adopted list. However, when districts select instructional materials from the SBOE's adopted list, they do so with confidence in the following: the extent to which the materials provide instruction in the required TEKS or TPG, their availability in accessible formats without any additional cost to the districts for students with print disabilities, their availability at an established cost for at least 8 years, and that they can be easily and conveniently ordered through the state's online instructional materials ordering system known as EMAT. For subjects in the K-12 curriculum, the State Board initiates a review and revision of the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, or TEKS. For pre-kindergarten, those standards are not under the purview of the State Board. Rather, the Commissioner convened a committee in the fall of 2015 to review and revise the pre-kindergarten guidelines and to ensure that the guidelines align with the kindergarten TEKS. Those new standards were effective for the 2016-17 school year. Once new standards are in place, the State Board considers a need for new instructional materials. If they find that the changes were significant enough to render the currently adopted instructional materials ineffective, they will issue a proclamation. A proclamation is an official solicitation for new instructional materials. It identifies the subject areas and courses to be included and contains a schedule of adoption procedures and publisher requirements. Proclamations are always named for the year in which the instructional materials are planned to enter classrooms. Once the proclamation is issued, publishers begin developing instructional materials for consideration that align to the new standards. And TEA facilitates an instructional materials review, which is what you're here to do. Reviewers are placed on state review panels and are composed of educators, parents, industry representatives, and other subject matter experts. They review materials and document findings to be shared with the Commissioner, SBOE, school districts, and the public. Those findings include the extent to which materials align to the TPG, factual errors discovered during the review process, and any feedback about the programs in general. Around the same time, materials are available for public review. During the public review period, print samples are available for review at TEA in the Instructional Materials Division and at each of the 20 Education Service Centers. Written comments and reports of alleged factual errors may be submitted by any Texas resident, and interested parties may also provide public testimony to the SBOE at the public hearing during the September meeting following the review. TEA presents reports to the State Board of Education. Those reports include the report of required corrections, which presents errors reported by the state review panels and publishers, and the list of instructional materials eligible for adoption, including all materials that cover at least 50% of the TPG. At the time the list of materials eligible for adoption is posted, you will be released from your no contact period. We will also present any written public comment received at this time. Then the SBOE takes a vote to adopt instructional materials. In order to be eligible for adoption, materials must cover at least 50% of the TPG, comply with required manufacturing standards, including accessibility standards, be suitable for the attended subject and grade level, and be reviewed by academic experts. Publishers begin working to correct errors and submit bids which contain packaging and pricing information for districts. The Commissioner contracts for the creation of accessible versions of print materials, and publishers submit special files to produce accessible materials and a report to verify compliance of digital materials. Next, districts review and select instructional materials, which are then adopted by their school board. Every district must have its own local policy to govern the review of instructional materials, and the materials must be selected by the school board or governing body in an open meeting. Districts must certify annually that they have instructional materials that cover 100% of the TEKS for each subject and course in the required curriculum before gaining access to allotment funds. Once the materials are adopted by the school board, textbook coordinators are then authorized to order instructional materials. When it's time to place orders, adopted materials can be ordered in EMAT or directly through the publisher. When ordered through EMAT, districts submit what's called a requisition. TEA pulls funds from the district's allotment to pay publishers, and the publishers ship the materials directly to the district. When ordering adopted or non-adopted materials directly with the publisher or vendor, districts pay for the materials and submit what's called a disbursement request in EMAT to pull funds from their allotment. This time next summer, TEA will confirm that all the corrections in the report of required corrections were made by publishers. The publishers will ship any instructional materials ordered, and teachers will begin using those materials in the classroom. Now let's look at the proclamation schedule. As you already know, Proclamation 2021 includes a call for pre-kindergarten systems, and those materials are scheduled to go into classrooms in August of 2021. The board issued Proclamation 2022 at its April 2020 meeting and included a call for instructional materials for health and teacher materials for PE. Those materials will be available in the classroom for the 2022-23 school year. We expect the board to issue Proclamation 2023 for K-12 science and some CTE courses in April 2021. Those materials would be available for the 23-24 school year. And Proclamation 2024 is scheduled to include technology applications for elementary and middle school and additional CTE courses that are yet to be determined. Now let's take a look at the Texas Resource Review. In 2017, the Texas Legislature passed a law requiring the Commissioner to create a web portal to assist districts in selecting instructional materials. Before placing materials on the web portal, the legislation requires TEA to facilitate an independent review of the materials to assess quality. Materials are selected for the TRR in one of three ways. Publishers can voluntarily submit materials. 10% of districts can make a request to have materials included, or the SBOE votes by majority. The SBOE voted at the September 2019 meeting to require all materials submitted in response to a proclamation also be reviewed through TRR. Therefore, all materials submitted in response to Proclamation 2021 will be reviewed through TRR. Now let's look at the TRR process. We begin this process by developing a Texas-specific quality rubric designed for Texas standards. We recruit, select, and train diverse teams of Texas educators, including teachers and administrators, to serve as reviewers. These reviewers meet weekly to reach consensus as they evaluate materials and collect evidence, and then draft their reviews. Those reviews are validated by ESCs to ensure that the reports include proper evidence to support the scores. Publishers are given an opportunity to respond and revise their materials, and the final quality reviews are published on the Texas Resource Review website. To give you an idea of how the timeline looks for pre-K, the rubric was available for public comment in October of 2019, and the final version was released that winter. In January of this year, the publisher application opened and it closed in March. This month, reviewers will begin the quality review, and those review results will be published this November. The quality rubric for pre-K is divided into 4 categories. The first category, SBOE review, is the portion that you're conducting. This category results in a percentage of the TPG covered and establishes if the materials meet requirements for state adoption. The remaining 3 categories will be assessed by the quality reviewers. Content and instructional concepts determines how well TPG are addressed and evaluates guidance for effective teaching and learning specific to the content. Educator supports focuses on aspects of instructional materials that directly relate to tools and resources for supporting instruction and on guidance and support students and educators need to ensure all students learn and succeed. The final category provides information on technology, cost, professional learning, and additional language supports. If you want to learn more, please visit www.texasresourcereview.org. Now let's look at the response to Proclamation 2021 and the June TRR. Proclamation 2021 included a call for English and Spanish instructional materials. Publishers were given the option to submit materials in English or Spanish or both, and 13 publishers responded to the call. They include Benchmark Education, Children's Learning Institute at the UT Health Science Center at Houston, EduSpark, Frog Street, HighScope Educational Research Foundation, Kaplan Early Learning Company, Learning Without Tears, Quaver Ed, Robert Leslie Publishing, or the Early Childhood Company, Savvis Learning Company, formerly Pearson K-12 Learning, Scholastic, Teaching Strategies, and TPS Publishing. The TRR cycles are identified by the month and year in which the reviews are scheduled to begin. This current cycle is June 2020. In addition to each of the English pre-K materials submitted for Proclamation 2021, TRR will review additional products this summer. They will review STEMscopes Math for Mathematics K through 8, one additional pre-K product by Appletree, and several publishers' materials for Foundational Literacy K through 2. Foundational Literacy is the first strand of the English Language Arts and Reading TEKS. I hope you now have a better understanding of instructional materials in Texas. If you have any questions, please feel free to submit an Instructional Materials Help Desk ticket. Thank you and have a great day.